The elders gathered in the silent, dimly lit chamber. Their voices, hushed and strained, carried the weight of a secret buried for millennia. Data streamed across their terminals, unsettling reports from the fringes of the galaxy. Humanity, a species that had barely breached the void a few centuries ago, was advancing at an impossible rate. Faster than light travel, energy manipulation, AI singularities, all achievements that should have taken thousands of years, compressed into mere decades. It wasn't natural. It wasn't supposed to happen. The truth had been locked away for eons, known only to the highest echelons of the Galactic Council. Humanity wasn't a random product of evolution. They were engineered. Long ago, a precursor race, one more advanced than any empire that now ruled, designed them as an experiment. A desperate last effort before their own extinction. A species with no biological limits, no genetic dead ends. A race that didn't just evolve, but forced itself to adapt, no matter the environment. And now, for the first time since those ancient architects disappeared, their creation was stepping into the stars. If humanity realized what they were, if they uncovered their true nature, there would be no stopping them. The elders knew what happened to the precursors. They vanished not because of war, nor disease, nor cosmic disaster. They became something else. Something uncontrollable. The elders had no intention of letting history repeat itself. A new report flashed across the display. A human researcher, Dr. Elias Carter, had uncovered ruins on a desolate moon near the galactic core. The ruins shouldn't exist. They predated the Council's own records. Worse, Carter had activated something inside them. A transmission had pulsed outward, a signal that should have been buried forever. The contents were unknown, but it was enough to sound alarms. Humanity had already learned too much. If they deciphered what they found, the truth would no longer be a secret. The elders made their decisions swiftly. The first step was containment. A disinformation campaign would be launched immediately. News feeds across the galaxy would be flooded with controlled narratives, stories of human arrogance, of inevitable failure. Anything to slow them down, to make them doubt their progress. But the Council knew misinformation alone wouldn't be enough. Carter had to be eliminated. His research had to be destroyed. An order was sent. The hunter would be dispatched at once. Humanity could never know what it was. The first signs of interference were subtle. Supply chains that once ran smoothly now faced unexpected delays. Scientific breakthroughs were dismissed as hoaxes. Key researchers vanished without explanation. But humanity had always thrived under pressure. Every blockade became a challenge to overcome, every setback a lesson in resilience. If the galaxy wanted to slow them down, it had underestimated just how quickly humans adapted. Dr. Elias Carter had already gone into hiding. He knew the discovery he made was bigger than he had imagined. The ruins weren't just remnants of an old civilization, they were proof that humanity's existence was deliberate. Someone had created them with a purpose, and someone else wanted that knowledge erased. His research team had been silenced one by one. He was next. The first assassination attempt came in the form of an engineered accident, a reactor overload at the research station where he had been working. Carter wasn't there. He had already started noticing the patterns, the missing colleagues, the fabricated news reports dismissing his findings. He had taken precautions. What the elders didn't anticipate was that Carter had allies. Humans were exceptional at seeing through deception, at reading between the lines. Those who had worked with him had started asking their own questions. And now, those questions were turning into a movement. A high-ranking operative was dispatched. The assassin was one of the best the elders had, silent, precise, and untraceable. The mission was simple: eliminate the threat, recover any data, and leave no trace. The operative had studied humanity for years, understood their weaknesses. Or so they thought. When the time came, hesitation crept in. Carter wasn't like the leaders of other species, burdened by politics and bureaucracy. He was something else, determined, adaptable, unpredictable. And he wasn't alone. The assassin was surrounded before they even knew they had been compromised. Carter didn't kill the operative. He didn't need to. The moment the assassin hesitated, the moment fear took hold, the war had already shifted. The elders had always relied on control, on the certainty that they could contain any threat. But now, one of their own had doubts. And doubts were dangerous. Carter extracted what he needed. The assassin had been given a target, but also a reason: eliminate humanity before they became unstoppable. The orders weren't speculation. The elders knew something. Something they feared. That meant the answers were out there, waiting to be uncovered. Humanity wasn't just surviving the silent war. It was learning, adapting, evolving. Exactly as it had been designed to. The truth was no longer hidden. The encrypted files extracted from the captured assassin contained records older than the Council itself. Humanity had not been a mistake. They had been a solution, a fail-safe against stagnation, a species that could break through evolutionary dead ends where others faltered. Every war, every technological leap, every insatiable drive to push beyond limits was by design. The precursors had not vanished. They had transcended, leaving behind a single, perfected creation. Dr. Elias Carter's team wasted no time. The data was uploaded to a secure relay, set to broadcast across every network in known space. Once released, there would be no suppressing it. But the Council was prepared for this. A fleet was already en route, armed not for battle, but for erasure. Their mission was clear: wipe out Carter, his research, and anyone who had seen the files. The first strike came before the transmission could be completed. Orbital bombardments targeted every known resistance hub, reducing them to silence. But humanity was never centralized. They thrived in disorder, in redundancy. The moment one station fell, another took over. Carter knew the Council would try to cut off the signal. That's why the broadcast wasn't coming from one source, it was coming from hundreds. The message went out. Billions across the galaxy watched as the greatest secret of their time unraveled before them. Species that had lived in fear of their limitations now saw proof that their evolution had been carefully manipulated. The Council had never been protectors. They had been gatekeepers, holding the galaxy back. And humanity had just shattered the lock. Panic spread. Some civilizations rallied behind the elders, desperate to contain what they saw as a growing threat. But others, those who had long been trapped in technological and societal stagnation, saw something else. They saw hope. If humanity could defy its limits, so could they. The Council's control was slipping. The elders issued their final decree: humanity would not be allowed to exist. The full force of the Galactic Armada was mobilized. This was no longer suppression. This was extermination. But the Council had made a mistake. They had assumed they were fighting the same species they had encountered centuries ago. They weren't. Humanity had already changed. The fleet moved in, but they were not met with desperation. They were met with something they had never encountered before. A force not of brute strength, but of relentless adaptation. Ships that should have been inferior outmaneuvered their enemies. Weapons that had taken millennia to develop were reverse-engineered in weeks. The battle should have been a slaughter. Instead, it became a turning point. The elders had feared what humanity would become. Now they were witnessing it. And it was far too late to stop it. The war ended faster than anyone had expected. The Council's fleet, once the undisputed power of the galaxy, collapsed under the sheer unpredictability of human warfare. Every strategy they relied on, every calculation that had ensured their dominance for millennia, failed. Humanity didn't just fight, they adapted in real time. Weapons evolved mid-battle, formations shifted unpredictably, and tactics the elders had never encountered rendered their vast experience useless. They had spent centuries preparing for war against predictable enemies. Humanity was anything but. The surviving elders attempted one last act of control. They sent out a message across the stars, declaring humanity a cosmic plague, a force that would consume everything if left unchecked. They pleaded for unity against the growing threat. But no one listened. The broadcast was drowned out by something far more powerful, the voices of species who had finally broken free. The galaxy was no longer afraid. The Council crumbled from within. Civilizations that had been shackled by their rule turned against them. Their strongest allies defected, unwilling to fight for an empire built on suppression. Worlds that had stagnated for thousands of years, kept in check by fear, now dared to dream beyond their limits. The elders had not just lost a war. They had lost their place in history. Humanity did not conquer. It did not claim dominion over the ruins of the old order. Instead, it shared what it had always possessed: the ability to break through barriers, to question the impossible, to push forward when others stood still. The age of control was over. The age of progress had begun. Dr. Elias Carter stood among the remnants of a fallen empire, not as a victor, but as a witness to what came next. The precursors had feared their own creation, but they had failed to see the truth. Humanity was never meant to destroy the galaxy. It was meant to ignite it. And for the first time in history, the galaxy moved forward.